Hey everyone, welcome to This Old TJ. Today's video we are going to be wrapping up like the last little detail on the 488 gear swap, which is replacing the speedometer gear. I don't know if you can see, but mine is definitely looking a bit on the crusty side, and surrounded plenty by years of grime and goo. So we'll start just by giving it a little bit of a soak with some non-chlorinated brake cleaner. And then we'll get up in here and see what we can wipe off versus what is just permanently attached. But the big idea was to get off any of the loose stuff that's just hanging out there. So now that we've got that done, we'll grab a pick and see if I can get the little slider to move, which of course it doesn't want to. Oh, did it almost go? It does not want to budge. I'm trying to keep this as straightforward, simple job as possible. It may just very well remain in place because it looks like there's plenty of leftover room on the wire loom to work here. So next we'll grab the 13mm socket. And pull the retaining bolt. If you watched the earlier video I posted showing how bad the Speedo's off, you'll notice I mentioned having whoever does your gears do this while it's up on the lift. It'll be a lot easier standing underneath it than laying on your back in a driveway. But hey, laying on the back in the driveway's done probably a few thousand of these. Alright, so we have the retaining clip off now. So get in there with the towel one last time, get a little bit more goo out. And now to pull it, see if we can get it to work loose. And there we go. And of course the gear came off down in there. So that was almost to be expected. So next up here, we'll get the O-ring. It's currently on here off. There we go. We got the new one, which I'll pop the part number on the screen here for the new one. New O-ring is now on. Get a clean towel here to wipe some of that off a little bit. And the new Speedo gear is now sitting in the housing. So last thing will be, let's fish out the one that just fell in. Which before I go digging in there, I'm going to wipe the seal area off just a little bit better here. Now it's a matter of trying to find the perfect angle to reach in there and pull it out. And there we have it. So there's our original driven gear next to our new one. Reach down in there, get just a little bit of the transmission oil. Spread around our new O-ring. Then gently slip everything back into place. Oh, and just lost the new one in there. I was under the impression that these had like a pressure fit into the sending unit, but I'm getting the distinct feeling they actually do not. They just sit in there. And again, whatever your installer wants to charge you to do this while it's up in the air, I'd say it's definitely worth it. Now I'm starting to almost wonder, it looks like this has grooves on it. If this is what actually gets the thing to seat in there, we will find out. Second thought, we won't. I'm going to see if I can go ahead and get this clip all the way off of this adapter and get this thing out from under here to get a better look at it. And there goes the gear again. That thing does not want to budge one bit, which is making me wonder if it's just got a bunch of goo built up in it. There we go, finally. All right, now let's see if I can actually get the harness off. And I think it's time to get a screwdriver. It looks like the retainer is just mud and grime caked in there. It is not sliding up over the little ramp. Cleaning that out seems to be taking care of that problem. So we'll go ahead and pull this thing out from under here, clean it up a good bit, put a little petroleum jelly on that gear shaft, and see if we can get it to hold tight while we get it in there and lined up. So all right, time to come out from under the Jeep for a few minutes. It's fun work. There's a spot on the gear where it's cut, like squared off. You can see that pretty clearly. Then inside here, which is probably not going to show up well, there's the male half that mates up to that square. So when you're slipping it together, you can feel it. You can see if I turn the gear just a little bit off, it doesn't sink on. But once it goes to that spot, that's it. It doesn't go any deeper. So what I'm assuming at this point is that the back half of this has a pin that it may ride on as well to keep everything lined up just super well. So this is where I'm going to grab some petroleum jelly. Commonly used as transmission assembly lube. I'm going to coat this up well with it, put a little inside, run that in there, see if that'll hold it in place while I get this in there and lined up. Put a little around the O-ring as well, and then see if we can get this thing to slip down in there, because it sure looks when it's in like it mates on that final surface. And that's how far we want it to slip in there. Hopefully the whatever number of tries this is the charm and gets it done. And it still is not feeling like it. And I still think it's about where the post on the back side of that gear rides. Both the gears appear to be identical as far as dimensions go. So I guess this is going to be one of those things where you just need a lot of patience and trial and error. It's time to dig out the cell phone and use it for what is possibly its very best feature. And we will set it to video and record and get a good view of what's actually down in there. And it may be that this thing just seats up against a hard metal bit and stops, but we're about to find out. And sure enough, it just butts up against it. And if that's the case, then that is fully seated. So we will get our retaining ring back on here. It's starting to look like that O-ring is just kind of a pressure seal instead of actually slipping up inside there. Sure enough, tightening this down actually does seat that in there. So if there is a pressure fit, it takes the actual tightening of the retaining ring to draw it down in there. Reattach our wiring harness and we should be good. So next up, let's go drive this thing, see how it turned out.